I never thought my life would turn upside down because of a single evening. It all started on a rainy Thursday night. I came home exhausted from work, expecting nothing more than a quiet dinner and maybe some sleep. But instead, I found my girlfriend, Emma, sitting on the couch with her phone pressed tightly to her chest, as if she didn't want me to see what was on the screen. At first, I didn't pay attention. We all have our private moments, right? But then, when I asked her about dinner, she jumped as if I had caught her doing something wrong. That look in her eyes, it wasn't the Emma I knew. Something was off. I went to the kitchen, trying to shake off the feeling. But my mind wouldn't let it go. Why was she so nervous? Why did she suddenly smile at her phone when she thought I wasn't looking? That night, I barely slept. I kept replaying her expression in my head. The next morning, she left for work earlier than usual. And here's the strange part. She didn't even kiss me goodbye. For 3 years, Emma and I had built a life together. We had our fights, sure, but nothing ever serious. We talked about marriage, about kids, about building a future. So why now, out of nowhere, did it feel like a wall had appeared between us? I told myself I was just being paranoid. But then something happened that changed everything. 2 days later, I noticed her phone buzzing on the kitchen counter while she was in the shower. Normally, I never touched her phone. I trusted her. But my hands moved on their own, almost as if my heart already knew the truth. The name on the screen froze me in place. Daniel Redhart. My chest tightened. My stomach dropped. I wanted to believe it was just a friend, maybe a coworker, but the heart emoji, that was a knife to the chest. I didn't open the message. I couldn't. Instead, I put the phone back exactly where it was and walked out of the kitchen like nothing happened. But in that moment, everything between us changed. For the rest of the day, I couldn't focus on anything. At work, numbers on my screen blurred, voices around me sounded distant. All I could see was that name, Daniel Redhart. I tried to reason with myself. Maybe it was just an inside joke, maybe some harmless nickname. But deep down I knew. The truth doesn't hide behind emojis. When I got home that evening, Emma acted perfectly normal. She smiled, asked about my day, even made my favorite pasta. But her smile felt rehearsed, like an actress playing a role. Every laugh, every glance, it all seemed fake. I wanted to ask her right there, but something stopped me. Fear. Fear of hearing the answer I already knew. So instead, I played along, pretending nothing was wrong, even though my chest was burning. That night, I couldn't sleep again. I lay next to her, staring at the ceiling, listening to her steady breathing. She looked peaceful, almost innocent. But in my mind, questions screamed louder than ever. Who is Daniel? How long has this been going on? Am I just a fool lying next to someone who already belongs to someone else? The next day, I decided to follow her. I know, it sounds pathetic, like some jealous man who doesn't trust his girlfriend. But I needed the truth, even if it shattered me. She left the apartment around 8 a.m. saying she was going to work. I waited a few minutes and then followed, keeping my distance. My heart pounded so hard, I thought it would give me away. And then I saw it. Emma didn't go to her office. Instead, she walked into a small cafe on the other side of town. She sat by the window, nervously checking her phone. A few minutes later, a man walked in, tall, confident, with a smile that made my stomach twist. Daniel. I knew it was him even before she stood up to hug him. Not a friendly hug. A lingering hug. My hands trembled. My whole body felt like it was on fire. I wanted to storm in, to drag her out, to demand answers. But instead, I stood outside in the rain, watching the woman I loved hold another man like she once held me. And at that moment, I realized my relationship was already over. I stood outside that cafe for what felt like hours. My clothes were soaked, but I didn't care. Through the window, I saw Emma laughing, leaning in closer to him, her hand brushing against his. That touch was enough to break me. I had two choices: walk away and pretend I never saw it, or walk in and face the truth head-on. My legs moved before my brain caught up. I pushed open the door, the warm air hitting my wet skin. Heads turned, but I only saw her. Emma froze when her eyes met mine, her smile disappearing instantly. Daniel looked confused, glancing between us. I walked straight to their table. "Enjoying yourself?" I asked, my voice low but sharp. Emma stammered. "It's not what it looks like." I laughed bitterly. "Then what is it, Emma?" "Because from here, it looks exactly like what I think it is." Daniel finally spoke. "Hey, man, calm down. We're just—" "Shut up," I snapped, my eyes never leaving hers. "Don't you dare talk to me." The cafe had gone silent. People stared, but I didn't care. I wanted answers. I deserved answers. Emma reached for my hand, but I pulled away. "Please, let's talk outside," she whispered, against every instinct screaming at me to walk away. I followed her out. Rain poured harder now, matching the storm inside me. We stood under the awning, and I asked the question I'd been choking on for days. "How long?" Her eyes filled with tears. She looked down at the ground, avoiding me. That silence was louder than any confession. "How long, Emma?" My voice cracked. Finally, she whispered, "A few months." My chest tightened, and I staggered back like she had physically hit me. Months. Not days, not weeks, months. I felt like the world was spinning, everything I believed in collapsing. The woman I planned to marry had been living a double life right in front of me. I wanted to scream, to break something, to disappear. But all I managed to say was, "Why?" She wiped her tears, and the answer she gave was one I'll never forget. Emma's lips trembled as she finally spoke. "I didn't mean for it to happen, but with you, everything felt routine. Work, home, sleep, like we were just existing. With Daniel, I felt alive again." Alive again. Those two words shattered me more than the betrayal itself. "So what was I to you, Emma? Just a comfort zone until someone more exciting came along?" She shook her head desperately. "No, it's not like that. I love you, I really do, but—" I cut her off. "Stop. Don't you dare say you love me. People don't love and betray at the same time. You can't have both." Her tears streamed down her face, but for once, they didn't move me. I had cried too many silent tears these past nights, while she was out giving her smile, her touch, her heart, to someone else. She tried reaching for me again, but I stepped back. I didn't want her hands on me. "Why didn't you just leave me, Emma? If you wanted him so badly, why didn't you end things first?" Her voice cracked. "Because I didn't want to lose you either. I wanted both, and I was selfish." I stared at her, my jaw clenched so hard it hurt. At that moment, I realized the woman standing in front of me wasn't the same one I had fallen in love with. Or maybe she was, and I had just been blind to who she really was all along. The rain poured between us like a wall. My hand shook, my chest burned, but my decision was clear. "It's over, Emma." Her face collapsed, panic flashing in her eyes. "No, please don't say that. We can fix this, we can. There's nothing left to fix," I said coldly. "You killed us the moment you chose him." For a long moment, we just stood there, staring at each other through the storm. She was crying, begging, but I felt nothing but emptiness. I turned and walked away, each step heavier than the last. My world had fallen apart, but one thing was certain: I would never go back. But little did I know, this wasn't the end of the story. It was only the beginning. The days that followed were a blur. I packed my things, moved out, and cut off every thread that tied me to Emma. Friends asked questions, family tried to comfort me, but none of their words reached me. I was hollow, like a man walking through life without a pulse. But emptiness has a strange way of turning into clarity. One night, I sat alone with a bottle of whiskey and scrolled through old photos of us. Every smile, every kiss, every promise now felt like a lie. And yet, I couldn't bring myself to hate her completely, because if I did, I'd have to admit that 3 years of my life were wasted. Instead, I chose something else. I chose to remember the lesson, not the pain. To carry the scars, not the wound. Because in betrayal, there's a cruel kind of gift. It shows you who people really are, and it forces you to become stronger than you ever imagined. Weeks later, I saw Emma one last time. Not in person, just a photo online. She was with Daniel, smiling like the world was perfect. For a moment, it stung. But then I realized something. That smile was no longer my burden to protect. That life was no longer mine to carry. I closed the app, put my phone down, and for the first time in months, I felt free. Emma had broken me, yes. But in breaking me, she unknowingly built a new version of me, one that would never again settle for half-truths, for routine love, for someone who only stayed until something better came along. And maybe one day, I'll thank her for that. But not today. Today, I walk forward, alone but alive.